welcome to Wizards Presents. I'm Sydney Goodman, and today we're going to announce all of the biggest Magic the Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons events, releases, and partnerships coming up over the next year. I'll be joined by Jimmy Wong and Ginny D, who will help deliver new exclusive details about what's in store for Magic and D&D. And stick around because afterwards, we'll have the debut of Magic the Gathering's latest set, Dominaria United, where we'll dive deeper into the story and mechanics with a ton of card previews. We hope you're as hyped as we are. In 2023, Magic will be traveling to one of the most iconic realms of all time, Middle-earth. As previously announced, the epic world of The Lord of the Rings is getting the legendary Magic treatment. The book's influence on modern fantasy is undeniable. So many fantasy novels, TV shows, movies, and games trace their lineage back to Middle-earth. Now this iconic story will be part of Magic's. In honor of this, the design team worked closely with Middle-earth Enterprises and dove deep into the source material to make sure to get it just right. The cards and art in this series will have all the flavor and history of the trilogy, with the gameplay depth that Magic players love. We're excited to share that the set will be packed full of cards featuring beloved characters like the Ring Bearer himself, Frodo, and the corrupted Maiar, the fearsome Balrog. But it's not just these two you'll find on your journey. You'll see the entire fellowship that helped the ring make it all the way to Mordor. Villains from across Middle-earth, and the trusty items they brought along the way. To truly bring this world to life, it couldn't just be contained in the frames of one card. This set will feature a number of new card treatments, including borderless scene cards. When brought together, these cards will form amazing, recognizable scenes from the books, like the climactic battle of Pelennor Fields outside of Gondor. This beautiful tableau is formed from 18 separate cards. On their own, they are glorious pieces of art, but put them together, you can see the entire story as if turning pages in the novel. This epic crossover will be a fully modern legal and draftable booster set for you to play and collect. Digital-only players won't be left out either. Magic will also release The Lord of the Rings as an alchemy set in MTG Arena, complete with a new battlefield, mastery pass, avatars, pets, and more. Next up, a new chapter for Dungeons & Dragons players.
Dungeons & Dragons is a thrilling adventure, one we play together as Dungeon Master and players, but also an adventure itself. Now, we stand at the start of a new generation of Dungeons & Dragons, and today we're going to introduce some of what's in store for us as we embark on an initiative that we call 1D&D.
Growing up, I loved fantasy, but I never saw myself as the hero because I didn't think it was possible for someone who looked like me, who acted like me, who was like me to be that hero.
We want to continue to reach out to folks who are interested in fantasy, who love storytelling, who enjoy spending time with their friends and creating these collective stories that they can remember for years to come.
D&D's been around for 50 years, and there's very little that persists that long that becomes generational, that people can really just not only share, but literally hand down to their kids. What we want to do is just add to that legacy.
We did a smart thing with 5th edition by listening to the fans. And what came out of that process was a system that is stable, that is well-loved, that incorporates the best elements of earlier editions. Now that we have that, we are no longer in the position where we think of D&D as an addition. It's just D&D.
5th edition is a rule set that has worked for so many people and has brought so many new and exciting folks into the game. It's more important for us to continue to cultivate and respect and love what it is, that the world has told us is working for them.
The sort of change you're going to see isn't about taking anything away from you, isn't about changing any of that stuff that you love. It's much more about giving you more options, giving you more choices you can make, more character types you can play, more magic spells you can cast. Basically, we're very happy with the game the way it is today. We just want to build on that. We're revising the major core rulebooks that every player uses, the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Monster Manual.
One of my focuses, specifically, is the Dungeon Master's Guide. I'm going to make some structural changes to make it more friendly to new DMs.
When it comes to art for D&D, it's about as versatile as our players. We want to show that the person you are can appear in the worlds of Dungeons and Dragons.
That's what 2024 holds, is this promise of getting new versions of the books that are the game you know, but reflect where the game is presently.
One D&D has 3 pillars, and one is the rule set, which is built on the base of 5th edition, but updated.
We're building upon the rules that have been established, the storytelling, and expanding our world and our rule system.
When we say building on top of 5th edition, what we mean is that all the adventures and supplements that have been released in the past 10 years will still be playable with the new evolution of D&D.
Then there's D&D Beyond, which is the base of our digital tools and assists for players and DM. Currently, players are cobbling together all kinds of different apps and websites to have a true integrated D&D experience. What we want to do is actually just provide all the tools that the players need to play themselves in one space.
Right now, with the acquisition of D&D Beyond, we've already started to dip our toe into digital, and it was a fantastic partnership that we have going, but we can add more.
Digital physical bundles is something that we've wanted to do for a long time, and now that D&D Beyond is part of our family, it's finally something we can do. Your content is available anywhere you want it, and you have those physical books, but you've got nice portable versions that you can access through your phone or through your tablet or through your other device.
Then our future-facing aspect of this is the D&D Digital, which will become a full play space for you to have experiences that are more immersive. Right now, we're in early development of our digital experience. We can play a game, roll some dice, see the miniatures moving around in a 3D play space, but that's just the core of it.
We chose the Unreal Engine for several reasons.
Reason number 1, make it look dope. That's the first thing. Number 2 is take care of the lazy DM, because we're all lazy DMs. Ease of use means being able to access all of the tools that you need in order to get the adventure started. So we used a camera technique called tilt shift. It actually makes things look small. We want to make sure that the experience for you is that you're experiencing a miniature set.
The tilt shift camera was really chosen so that people understood that this wasn't a video game, but it is a digital experience. We want to give people more minis, more options for character customization. You can actually change the features, do what you want with it. And you're going to use this miniature approach to tell stories just like you do in physical tabletop.
To have your character live.
I'm transported there, but I'm not limited by the digital technology.
We might give you a pre-made campaign from us that has an exciting castle or keep with a dungeon inside of it, exciting NPCs, but then you're going to be able to take this playset, take it apart, and build your own. We're going to have a really robust tool for you to be able to create your own dungeons.
This is just the start of One D&D, and we are relying on all of you to help us out and figure out that future together.
What you're going to be able to see starting in August is a steady release of these playtest packages where you'll be able to engage with key aspects of the game, provide us with feedback that then we will digest, process, interpret, analyze, and then act upon.
Really, it's you shaping the next generation of Dungeons & Dragons, and we want to hear exactly what you have to say.
Playtesting starts today. Go to dndbeyond.com, download the playtest packet, and get ready to let us know where you'd like this next leg of the adventure to go.
The future of Dungeons & Dragons is bright. Codename 1D&D releases in 2024, but you can be a part of it today. Go to dndbeyond.com and join the playtest for the next evolution of D&D. The first playtest is available right now. The celebration of Magic the Gathering's 30th anniversary is right around the corner, and we want to celebrate with you, our fans. Now, I'd like to bring on actor, director, and Magic Maestro, Jimmy Wong, to tell us a bit more about it.
Hey, Sydney, great to be
Jimmy.
here.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
You know, it's been a tough few years with the pandemic, but now we are finally starting to invite everyone back to local game stores and Friday Night Magic. Recently, some friends of mine, including Post Malone, got together for some F&M. Check it out. Yo, Jimmy!
How many mulligans do we get? 10 trillion?
As many as you want.
I'm ready. Yeah, and I'll pass you.
Okay, no spin.
25!
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna.
This
is insane!
Like, here it is.
I love sitting around, having a beer, hanging out, spreading love, spreading positivity, messing with your friends, giving everybody a hard time, and at the end of the day, just, you know what, we're here because we love each other.
No, we love you, Pussy.
I love you guys.
Cheers to that.
No, very much
Cheers
so.
to that,
This
yeah.
is empty. We need something.
Top 3 cards in my library.
I love Friday nights.
Yeah, although technically it's Saturday now.
Don't worry, Josh. We'll get you to bed real soon.
We also want to bring back tournaments and celebrations in a big way. This is something we've all truly been missing over the last few years, and we're stoked to finally have the Gathering in Magic again. You've already seen Command Fest pop up all around the world, and perhaps you've even been able to attend some. Well, everything culminates in Magic's biggest in-person celebration ever, Magic 30. Join us in Las Vegas on October 28th to the 30th for community events, celebrations, tournaments, and the most prestigious competitive event of the year, the Magic World Championship. All live on Magic the Gathering Arena and in person. And there's even more things you can do and see at Magic 30. There will be on-demand events for you to play in, including a modern tournament where the top 8 will play a beta draft. Yeah, you heard that right, a beta draft in person. I hope those lucky players brought those fancy white gloves with them. There's gonna be panels to attend, your favorite artists, a cosplay contest, parties, and so much more. Oh, and I, along with some of my friends, will also be there. You can go right now to the Magic 30 website to get your tickets, and we'll see you in Vegas. Magic 30 is gonna be so much fun, and I really can't wait. And of course, there's even more ways to participate in Magic's anniversary. We told you this is gonna get big. So you can go to your local game store, play Magic with your friends, and get some awesome throwback promos for your collection. To celebrate Magic the Gathering's 30th anniversary, across the next 8 pre-releases, Magic is making 30 promos that span the game's history, one from each year from 1993 to the present. The promos will be released in chronological order, so for Dominaria United, your local game store will be receiving additional promos that celebrate the very first 3 years, with Sarah Angel from 1993, Ball Lightning from 1994, and Findhorn Elves from 1995. This is a 30th anniversary event special, so make sure to support your local game stores and pick up those promos.
Jimmy, can you break down some of the exciting releases that were hinted at?
Absolutely. Well, I think OG Magic fans will be excited for this. As you saw, there's gonna be a special secret lair that celebrates the 30 years of Magic. The 30th anniversary countdown kit will be a unique and limited run product from Secret Lair containing 30 cards, one iconic card from each year of Magic's history. Each classic card will have a fresh new look thanks to featured artists and its own individual booster pack wrapper. So rip them all open at once or crack one each day this December to count down to the start of 2023. And it wouldn't be Secret Lair if we didn't mention the August Superdrop coming up next week. Go to the Secret Lair website on August 22nd, that's 4 days from now, where you will be able to get cards from Victor Adame Minga's Artist Series and the Showcase Dominaria United. That's only 2 of the drops, so you definitely want to check out the rest. Also, we are excited to announce that there will be a Brain Dead Secret Lair collaboration in the near future, so you're going to want to keep an eye out for that. With these and all the secret lairs we've already talked about, there are going to be plenty of amazing ways to add pieces to your collection.
2023 marks the 35th anniversary of The Legend of Drizzt. For all you Drizzt fans out there, 2023 is gonna be your year. There'll be plenty of opportunities to celebrate the companions of the Hall. And today, we're gonna talk about 3. Here to act as our guide is singer, cosplayer, and D&D dynamo, Ginny D.
Hi.
Hey, Ginny, what do you have for us?
So much, Sydney. First up, every ebook and audiobook from R.A. Salvatore's The Legend of Drizzt series will be released with new 35th anniversary covers, featuring stunning art from today's top fantasy artists. That's right, all 39 covers beautifully reimagined for the ultimate Drizzt collection. Next, fans will be able to get their hands on the Legend of Drizzt visual dictionary. In this compendium, Drizzt takes readers on a spectacular journey through the Forgotten Realms in never-before-seen detail. From the glaciers of Icewind Dale to the teeming cities of the Sword Coast and the sinister shadows of the Underdark. Fans will explore the lore and characters of the Legend of Drizzt series with this immersive, extraordinary guide that features an amazing cover from artist Jason Rainville and brand new artwork of Drizzt and the companions. And finally, we have a brand new story in the Drizzt universe for the next generation of fans. We will bring a Drizzt family webcomic to Webtoon. This weekly comic series will follow Drizzt's and Caddy Bree's tween daughter Bree, who absconds with Drizzt's iconic sword Twinkle in order to prove that she can be just as heroic as her famous parents. The creator of the acclaimed Webtoon series Suitor Armor, Purpa, has written the story with R.A. Salvatore's guidance. The series features art by fan-favorite illustrator Ryan LeCount. We cannot wait to bring new Drizzt adventures to new storytelling platforms and fans in 2023.
We've already talked earlier about one of our Universes Beyond sets hitting shelves next year in The Lord of the Rings. But we have even more to talk about. In Universes Beyond, Magic stretches beyond its established lore to encompass the expansive characters, worlds, and adventures that not just Magic fans, but the world loves. These collaborations are amazing for those whose passions lie between the legendary mechanics of Magic and these beloved fandoms. Universes Beyond is an incredible way for new and old players to jump into Magic. For experienced players, these sets provide a way to dive into other worlds and spice up decks. And newer players can see some of their favorite characters through the eyes of Magic's best artists, and then actually interact with those characters through our favorite card game. In the past, Universes Beyond has gone to the upside down with Stranger Things, a release that contained fan favorites such as the Mind Flayer and 11. The Magic roster expanded with the likes of Chun-Li and Ryu from Street Fighter. We've seen The Walking Dead, Fortnite, and even the hit series Arcane represented in the Magic frame. And now, more new worlds are coming to Magic the Gathering Universes Beyond. Let's talk to our friend Jimmy about what worlds Magic is traveling to next.
Coming next to Magic's Universes Beyond will be Warhammer 40,000. Now, you already know about this release, but there's still a ton to explore in this collaboration between 2 tabletop titans. Here's Dee, who will have a behind-the-scenes look at the upcoming Warhammer 40,000 collection.
Hello Magic and Warhammer fans, I'm Dee and I'm here to invite you to join me for an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at how 2 of my favorite games came together in the latest entry in Magic's Universes Beyond series. It's a real love letter to fans of both franchises, and I can't wait to show off everything that went into doing this crossover justice. You won't want to miss it, so be sure to catch it streaming on YouTube September 12th for all the details.
Warhammer 40,000 has joined with Magic the Gathering, and you will now be able to play Commander within the universe of one of the most famous tabletop games ever created. There will be 4 different decks available, showcasing factions from the Imperium of Man, the Forces of Chaos, the Undying Necrons, and the Tyranids. Each deck plays true to the army's heroes, strategies, and lore. The Imperium seeks to control the tide of battle and overwhelm their enemies with the full weight of the Emperor's will. Chaos champions the unpredictable energies of the Warp and the pantheon of ruinous powers. The deathless Necron dynasties overrun their opponents with an unending horde of soulless living metal. And finally, the Tyrannid Hive fleets feed upon everything they touch to ramp towards massive, massive threats. To see this theme in action, each deck will come with a Sol Ring themed around its faction. These decks will be available in regular and collector editions. Every card in the collector edition comes in the new, beautiful Surge foil treatment. Look for the Warhammer 40,000 Commander decks coming out later this year. Oh, and for all of you looking forward to the Warhammer 40,000 Secret Lair drops, we now have a release date. You'll be able to grab these amazing cards on October 17th. And what other worlds lie beyond? That's right. The series that has been around for over 60 years is joining forces with Magic: The Gathering. Doctor Who will come to Magic in immersive commander decks. There will be 4 decks in total. They will feature doctors, companions, villains, locations, and more from across the show's 60-year history. But it's not just commander decks. If you really want to make your deck fantastic, you'll be able to get beautiful special treatments in their very own collector boosters. And you can bet Secret Lair will be in on the action as well. Whether heroic or villainous, in old Whovian or new, these decks are so full of references you'd think they're bigger on the inside. I hope you're as stoked as I am for these upcoming collaborations, and stay tuned to what's coming next.
In a strange world, far away. On a regular day, the littlest hamster woke up just to play. He crawled through some tubes, ran on his wheel, and ate nothing but pellets for every meal. Suddenly, the roof opened wide with a shove, and a great massive hand reached on down from above. Then our hamster hero was lifted up high by a huge hairless ape standing tall as the sky, a monstrous Who-Man. He feared he would...
But humans aren't real, right, Mama?
That's right, dear. Who-Mans aren't real. They're much too strange to be real. Much too strange.
It's time to set sail for the stars. Spelljammer Adventures in Space has just released, and it's a Dungeons & Dragons campaign like no other. It's been almost 30 years since D&D fans last got their hands on Spelljammer, the perfect concoction of fantasy, space opera, and piracy. And this time, Wizards is bringing everything to the table. The 3-book campaign collection includes new races to play, like plasmoids and the hippo-humanoid Gif, and new enemies to fight, like space clowns and solar dragons, and a new out-of-this-world adventure that will put the wild in wild space. Pick up Spelljammer today on D&D Beyond, Amazon, or at your local game store. Let's move from the stars to a world at war, Dragonlance. This is the first time in decades players will get a chance to set their D&D campaigns in the world of Dragonlance. Let's check with the game designers to see what they have in store for us.
Skies darkened by dragon wings. This is D&D telling a war story. And that's really something that we grabbed onto and wanted to use as one of the defining features for 5th edition's, in some ways reimagining, but also return to the Dragonlance setting.
One of the references that we kept going back to specifically for the Dragon Riders, like World War II, squadrons of fighter planes in formation. And so there are a few times within the book where we try to capture that feeling. I think getting that kind of visceral tone across to the artists helped them as well.
So Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen returns to the world of Krynn and brings along with it everything that you would expect to be core to an experience during the War of the Lance. The story that we tell is only a part of the larger epic of the War of the Lance, and it's an untold story that we haven't seen explored via novels or adventures in the past. You're getting a new race in the Kender, these mischievous, curious characters who have this insatiable drive for exploration and wonder. You've also got explorations of the Knights of Solamnia, this group of valorous knights that you can be a part of as a new background. You can also join the Mages of High Sorcery, who are a group of mysterious magic users that have their own legendary methods of joining. I think anybody who, grew up with that incredible Keith Parkinson image of Lord Soth's charms is going to—
Iconic.
Exactly. It was on my desktop for the majority of the time that we were working on this.
All I can say about the art is that it is badass. The standard cover came about really organically. It was, this is a movie poster and we're showing all of the villains. The alt cover, our germ of the idea was always there that it was going to be Soth, and his symbol of the black rose were going to be the focus of the alt cover. It was really formulated to work with the artist that we chose, Chase Stone. He does this beautiful metal work. That was kind of a decision that was already made for us practically.
Along with that, we've got a host of new feats to help you further immerse yourselves in being a member of perhaps the Knights of Solamnia or the Mages of High Sorcery, but also to indulge in some of the other wonders of this setting. So we had an exciting opportunity when we were putting together these products to work with world-renowned board game designers Rob Davio and Stephen Baker, and they were two of the designers that were behind Dragonlance Warriors of Krynn, the board game experience that supplements our adventure. So Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen does something that we haven't explored before in 5th edition, and that's offering a game experience that cooperates and coordinates with the role-playing experience in the form of Dragonlance Warriors of Krynn. This is a whole board game that's not necessary for you to play the adventure, but offers you a unique mass battle experience that meshes in and out of the larger adventure.
Shadow of the Dragon Queen and the Dragonlance Deluxe Edition will soon be upon us. You can check D&D Beyond for release details. D&D is for everyone around the world. That's why we're delighted that new D&D starter products will be coming to Japan later this year. Let's take a look at a brand new D&D trailer for our Japanese players.
頑張れ。もう少しで村に着くぞ。
マジもう疲れた。静かに。気配がするわ。今にも何か出てきそうな。
おいおいおいおい。一体どうなってんだよ。
ダンジョンズ&ドラゴンズの世界へようこそ。
誰の声だよ。
ダンジョンマスターよ。
ダンジョンマスター。
燃え盛る炎の中からゾンビが3体出現。
これはちょっと予想外ね。
戦うか。
戦うって相手はゾンビだよ。
ダイスを取り出して自分が誰かを思い出してください。
俺は勇敢なファイター。
私はレンジャー。私はウィザード。ここは私に任せて。まさかのクリティカルヒット。これで倒せ
敵を撃破しました。護衛は成功です。テーブルトーク RPG、すっかりキャラになりきっちゃったよ。さて、次の冒険に進もうか。
この格好どうした？
かっこいいです。世界で一番遊ばれている TRPG、ダンジョンズ&ドラゴンズ。
In 2022, Dungeons & Dragons has gone to the Netherdeep, to Radiant Adventures, to Wild Space, and to War. And now, for the first time ever, we're going to peel back the curtain on an entire year ahead of us. Let's give you a taste of all the major releases coming to Dungeons & Dragons in 2023. I feel like I can't even pick a favorite.
We start the year with Keys from the Golden Vault, a D&D anthology with heists at the center of each tale. Next, Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants provides the definitive tome of giant gameplay in D&D. After that, the Phandelver campaign is a classic adventure that expands Lost Mines of Phandelver into a full campaign with many surprises in store. Later in the year, the Book of Many Things uses the legendary Deck of Many Things to explore a host of new options for dungeon masters and players. And finally, we end the year with a return to Planescape. This campaign collection includes everything you need to explore Sigil and the multiverse beyond.
Up next, Magic the Gathering has some epic things brewing.
We've got some huge news, especially for those fans who have been with us from the very beginning all those years ago. Next, we're taking a look at Dominaria Remastered. This special limited print run set contains cards from 27 previously released sets located either in Dominaria or from ancillary sets featuring Dominaria-themed cards. It really is a culmination of everything Magic has done on this plane in the past 30 years, and it will be fully draftable. You will be able to recreate that feeling of early Magic sets with many familiar classic draft archetypes that longtime fans are gonna love revisiting. There will be draft and collector boosters, which will include alternate versions of popular cards, as well as borderless art and retro frames. Take a look at Force of Will and Arborea. Oh man, I can't wait to collect these.
And now it's time for the Magic main event. We're going to get a look at the full slate of main sets that will be coming out from the rest of this year through 2023. There's a whole lot of news to cover. Jimmy, tell us about these exciting sets.
All right, let's start at the very center of the multiverse, Magic's home. Dominaria United is going to be the next big set release coming your way, and no better place to celebrate the 30th anniversary than where it all began. This set really ramps up the biggest storyline in Magic's history, the Phyrexian arc. Magic has never done a multi-set storyline quite like this before. The iconic and beautiful plane of Dominaria is under duress. War is on the horizon, and it's becoming clear that the Phyrexians we've been seeing from across the multiverse are setting into motion something much more sinister. Vorinclex, the green-aligned Praetor, was last seen on Kaldheim, stealing a sample of the godly and mysterious Tyrite. The blue Praetor, Jin Gitaxis, not only stole the reality chip from Kamigawa, but managed to complete the very first Planeswalker with Tamio. Urabrask, the red Praetor, snuck his way into New Capenna in order to study the effects of Halo and see if it might have some way of standing up against the growing Phyrexian army. Dominaria has long theorized that it would be next in the Phyrexians' plans, but the heroes truly have no idea just how far the war has progressed. Tamio isn't the only Planeswalker hidden among them that has Phyrexian oil coursing through their veins. And Dominaria United is right around the corner in September. And stick around, because after the presentation, there will be the debut of Dominaria United. I'll show off card previews and mechanics, and we'll have a special teaser video to show at the end. So whether you're new or returning to Magic, this is where the epic journey of the Phyrexian arc truly begins, and you definitely don't want to miss it.
So we've spoken about the past with Magic's 30th anniversary and everything up to the present, including Dominaria United. Only thing left is the future. Jimmy, what's coming up for Magic next year?
All right, Hot on the heels of Dominaria United, the next chapter of the Phyrexian arc will unfold as we travel back in time to follow the most famous brothers in the multiverse, Urza and Mishra in the Brothers' War. In this set that straddles both the present and past of Dominaria, we'll get a closer look at the infamous conflict that caused the rift between these two artificers. And you know what that means? Plenty of artifacts. And we're not talking about spectacles and sunglasses, we're talking giant mechs and colossal war machines. Can't say too much just yet, but one thing I will say is that the fate of the future might be rooted in the past. Up next in our storyline, our villains grow ever stronger in Phyrexia. All will be one. For the first time in over 10 years, we revisit the terrifying and beautiful plane of New Phyrexia as Elish Norn inches ever closer in her plan to conquer the multiverse. Things look grim. Terror and oil oozes from every corner of the plane as we experience the fear and joy of becoming one. Horror fans, you won't be disappointed. And finally, March of the Machine, the dramatic conclusion of the Phyrexian arc. The entire multiverse rallies together for one epic climactic battle. But what will be left when the dust settles? Did we survive? We'll find out where we stand after that epic 4-part arc in March of the Machine, The Aftermath. The very fabric of the multiverse has fundamentally changed, and Aftermath serves as an epilogue by tying up some loose ends and starting new beginnings. After the conclusion of the Phyrexian arc, Wilds of Eldraine returns us to the fan-favorite plane. But in this set, we're taken away from the cities and castles and into Eldraine's wilds, where enchantments abound, and where you might even recognize inspiration from even more classic fairy tales. And finally, we close out 2023 by going on a thrilling adventure. We'll dive into the lost caverns of Ixalan. But things have changed since the powerful artifact of the Immortal Sun disappeared. For this set, we're spelunking for buried treasure. And there just might be some dinosaurs.
Thanks so much for taking us through these upcoming set releases, Jimmy. Well, that just about wraps up Wizards Presents 2022. We have covered so much ground today. Exciting new titles, expansions, books, and experiences. Let's remind our fans what's coming out for Wizards of the Coast in the coming years.
Yes, the next version of D&D, the release of Spelljammer, a movie, and so many books.
Magic is going to be headed to Middle-earth and the universe of Doctor Who. It'll also celebrate its 30th anniversary with crazy throwback releases and a next-level Magic fan event of unprecedented scale. Then, Magic will kick off the largest story in its history, the Phyrexian arc. Can't wait.
And that isn't everything, just the highlights. Follow us on social media for even more announcements. We're all very excited to see what the next year brings for our two favorite tabletop and digital games. I want to thank Ginny D, Jimmy Wong, and all of you for tuning in. I'm Cindy Goodman, and now is the Dominaria United debut.
Hello, Magic fans, and welcome. I'm Jimmy Wong, and it's time to talk about Dominaria United. Today, we're going to be learning more about what went into revisiting Magic's very first plane, checking out the set's mechanics, and of course, getting a first look at a ton of brand new cards. Now, if you dropped in earlier this week for our video covering the history, art, and world building of Dominaria United, you might already know a bit of what to expect. But if you weren't able to make it, here's a quick recap. But be sure to check out the whole thing once we're done here today.
As Magic the Gathering's first setting, Dominaria kind of establishes the standard by which all other world building is measured.
This is obviously a place that's steeped in legend, has so much history.
It's just so inspiring and so hopeful. Everyone on this plane fully understands the gravity.
One of the things we wanted to see in this set was various cultures helping each other out, especially as they're faced with this new threat.
So you're going to see people teaming up, and it's all hands on deck.
That if this threat makes it past Dominaria, it's bad news for everybody in the entire multiverse.
And before we jump into the new stuff, check out this announcement we made earlier about the Lost Legends promotion.
We're excited to bring you the story of Magic's Lost Legends.
We found these boxes of the original Legends in a warehouse, and we wanted to get them out into the world for our players to enjoy.
It is the perfect set to take cards from 1994 and actually put them into packs.
Holding the original is really cool, and it makes me feel like I'm 13 again.
This has stood the test of time and is still played today and is still something that people cherish.
And now we get to share them with you.
As you can see, there's a ton of exciting stuff in the works for this set. So let's hear from some special guests who can tell us a little more about just what went into crafting cards and gameplay that bring the legendary world of Dominaria United to life.
We're heading back to Dominaria because of course we are. It's our 30th anniversary. Dominaria is our home plane. It's quintessential fantasy, and in a lot of ways, it is quintessential magic. This plane is full of diversity. This plane is absolutely beautiful, and it has a very long, storied history in the Magic multiverse.
It has this huge history stretching back to the very beginning of the game. All these different themes over the years are available for us to draw upon and sort of call back to.
There's been so much that's happened here. We really started off in Dominaria, and we've come back again and again to revisit this plane.
As we were making Dominaria United, we got to pull from all of the fan favorite things from around Magic history and put them into a set.
We have all the denizens of Dominaria putting aside their differences and teaming up in the face of a mutual foe. I just loved coming up with who would make sense to come back for the second invasion of Dominaria.
It brings that great fusion that I've loved of nostalgia with current day, right? You see the old stuff and you see them in an updated new form. And that is the beauty of Dominaria, is that old and the new together, and no matter what kind of player you are, you will love it.
As Magic's first plane and the setting for literally dozens of sets that followed, Dominaria is home to some of Magic's most beloved and iconic characters. Let's learn more about these fan favorites and how the team approached them for Dominaria United.
So Dominaria is a plane full of legends, legendary creatures, legendary planeswalkers. And now we have a Johnny, we're gonna see Karn, we're gonna see Jaya and Joyra, and just so many amazing faces where if you have been following along with Magic for a while, you're definitely gonna see some familiar faces. Liliana is also nearby, so we're gonna get to see what's going on with Liliana. Why is she here?
So one of the cool things about Dominaria is when we go back, we kind of pick some choice cards to reprint back into Standard. With Liliana, we wanted to show that, yeah, she's been here. She's been on Dominaria for a long time. Well, how about we take her Innistrad version, her most iconic version of the character, and show, oh yeah, she's here on Dominaria too, in her most iconic form.
Right, definitely the most powerful Liliana card we've ever made.
By a long shot. And that ultimate is just backbreaking, right? Yeah. You ultimate it and they separate the permanents into two piles, and then disaster strikes from there. Do not sleep on this card. I don't know how you could. It's so powerful.
So if you've been following Magic for a long time, you're very familiar with the Raven Man, and we're bringing back the Raven Man for this set.
And it's cool we get to bring this old character players love from flavor text into a current setting. And so as we were making Dominaria United, we got to pull from all of the fan favorite things from around Magic history and put them into a set. Pretty cool.
So Squee is a goblin. He was the cabin boy on board the skyship Weatherlight, and he was super annoying. He was this character who was always getting into trouble, but somehow he never got killed, even though he was constantly in horrible danger. The story writers wrote that into the story, that he had been transformed by Phyrexian science into an immortal that just kept healing whenever he died.
So one thing we see on Squee's card that's really cool is he's holding his toy, right? He's got this thing called Squee's toy. He picked it up a long time ago when he was traveling the planes. And just like how he brought it all the way with him and has it now in Dominaria, every character we visit has a bit of themselves that they've brought to Dominaria with them. You know, we look at Jorah, a character who helped command the Weatherlight. She's still here, she's still kicking.
She's one of the greatest genius artificers of Dominarian history, and we really see that reflected in the card mechanic here, where she's sort of building up more and more knowledge and then building more and more powerful artifacts as the game goes on.
Zur, Eternal Schemer.
Reading through the old novels, it was clear that like somewhere in the background of all the action, Zur was trying to become immortal. Everyone kind of thought that was crazy, but look at how many people have become immortal in Dominaria. It just happens sometimes. We're not even gonna explain how Zur became immortal. We just know it happened.
To see the through line from the old Zur card to this one, right? The original searched your deck for enchantments, put them into play. This new one also deals with enchantments, but it has a little twist, right? It animates your enchantments, which is technology that existed at the time but wasn't used super heavily, and we've seen more and more and more as time has gone on. So it's cool that we get to kind of take this old card, make a new version of it, and use a bit of cool new design technology to bring it to life.
So for Dominaria United, one of my responsibilities on play design was play testing for Standard and Limited. The end goal is just make a really fun Standard environment. So one of the cards we play tested was Solkanar, and I remember back, when I was younger, this card was a reprint in the Time Spiral bonus sheet, and I remember playing this card like quite a bit in Limited specifically. Like I think I top 8'd a PTQ or something with this card. So one inspiration for this Solkanar was the card Demonic Pact, which is an enchantment that has 3 really cool abilities. You do one every turn, and then at the end of the 3 abilities, you lose the game. So this is a take on Demonic Pact. It has 3 like really cool, powerful abilities, and then when you're done using these 3 abilities, you have to give the card away to your opponent. One of the problems we faced with Solkanar was that the game was ending before we gave it to the opponent. We had to like really be careful with the abilities we chose. Because if you make them too powerful, then the game's gonna end before the opponent gets the Solkanar. And if you make them too weak, then maybe nobody's gonna play the cards.
We heard about Lord Windgrace all the way back in the day in some old novels, and then really showed up in earnest in the Invasion block.
In the storyline, Lord Windgrace was a fierce foe of the Phyrexians. He gave his life to save the multiverse, but he invested some of his soul into the land of Urborg, his homeland, to return in the hour of need, in Urborg's hour of need. Well, the Phyrexians are back, and so Windgrace's avatar has risen back up and is going to do battle against the Phyrexians one more time.
And I think it's really cool that this card too keys off of lands, right? Just like the Commander card did, right? So we created this identity for this old character. Dominaria, riffing on that history yet again, looks at this Commander card and says, oh, he's gonna do stuff with lands this time around, which feels so fitting for Windgrace, I mean, given what he does.
It's good to have a mechanical through line between different incarnations of the same character so that everything feels cohesive.
Booster Fun is something that we do at Magic to really make the opening experience even more exciting than it already is. Everybody loves to open their booster packs, but we really want to give these extra special moments visually different enough from the rest of the cards to like give that little extra sauce. And we work really hard with all of the people that make the game to have those moments be really strongly themed to the setting. We really wanted to get at the reverence and the historic aspect of returning to this plane, which is like a favorite place for the fans and a favorite place for the story, is we realized that stained glass art was the way to go because it had this reverence, this epic, holy luminosity that really gave us a lot of fun space to make some beautiful pieces of art. And what really clicked for us is when we imagined what is the chapel where this piece of stained glass would live. We used this treatment to highlight some of the legendary, really important creatures like Raf Capuchin. And in the Solkanar piece, not only do you have this like hulking monster, you can look in the background and you see these like repeating almost fractals that she's created out of like organic tree shapes. Daniel did such an amazing job on Poor Squee. It's such a beautiful piece. Gave a lot of pathos to this beloved character, gave him his little moment with his little buddy on a hill of skulls.
So in order to help you cast some of these powerful multicolor legendary creatures, we've included some of the pain lands. These are lands that you can tap them for colorless mana, or you can tap them for one of 2 colors, but you will take damage when you do that. So many of the names refer to specific locations in Dominaria.
Caves of Koilos, one of those iconic locations in Magic. The Kickstarter did the whole Brothers War.
Right.
Can't go on Mirrodin. You can't put that in Ravnica. It's gotta be right here. And we've wanted to use pain lands a lot over the past several years, but they just can't go on a lot of worlds. You know, you can't put these cards on any other plane. So going back to Dominaria was just the perfect time to bring them back. It brings that nostalgia back, right? When you're sleeving up your standard deck and it has 4 copies of Yavimaya Coast in it, you're like, I remember doing this when I was playing Blue-Green Madness back in 2003. I played 4 copies of Yavimaya Coast. And again, I can sleeve them up and have that nostalgia, but that lenticular design comes into play again, right? Where a newer player is just gonna see, sweet, some man-fixing dual lands, love it, put it in my deck.
Of course, one of the best parts of a world chock full of legendary creatures is that it opens up all sorts of fresh options for your commander decks. Let's take a look at what the Dominaria United Commander lineup has to offer. Check out some cards you won't find in the main set, and hear from some of the designers and playtesters about how these cards got made.
Jared is the star of the Magic the Gathering comic book series from the mid-90s, and we'd never made a card for him before. So I was like, oh, this would be so cool. We should make a Jared Carthalion card.
And so we saw him on flavor text in Modern Horizons 1, I think, right? That was his first intro into actual like paper Magic.
Right.
And then we worked on Commander Legends, we made a card for him. And then this time around in Dominaria, he's graduated all the way up to show up in a main set with this Commander deck face card.
In the storyline, once Jared mastered all 5 colors of magic, his planeswalker spark ignited and he became a powerful planeswalker. Back in the pre-mending era when planeswalkers bestrode the multiverse like gods. Jared is still around. He survived the planeswalker war that happened, and he's helping out the coalition. He's sort of a secret agent and rescuing people who are in dangerous situations and such like that. You kind of tell he's part of the coalition because he has all 5 colors of mana in his mana cost, and he's working with the Kavu.
The thing that's cool to me is it's not just legendary creatures. Dominaria and Magic in general has so many cool legendary objects around the history that Dahada plays not just with your legendary creatures, but you want to look at every legendary artifact you can find. My favorite when I was playtesting the deck was looking for all the legendary lands. Yeah. You're like, hey, those actually are really good with Dahada. You can find them with her and do all kinds of cool stuff. So it makes you care about legendary in particular. And then that I thought was a fun little twist on something that feels a lot different from other cards we've done in the past. So you'll notice on both these Planeswalkers, Jared and Dahada, they have ways to help make sure the game goes forward, right? Either they're building up to this huge ultimate, which will probably win you the game, or they're putting counters on creatures, or helping your stuff attack, stuff that just makes the game move forward.
One of the things I always like to imagine is when the next set comes out, which cards are people going to get excited to add to their deck? Like when the next 5-color card is printed, everyone's going to look at it. Does this go with Jared? When the next legendary creature is printed, does this go in my Dahada deck? I just love creating these themes that can help players to get excited about what we're going to release in the future.
So I've been playing Magic for about 25 years. And I remember when I first started seeing all these just legends with no abilities, vanilla legends, and never really understood why they were so cool, but everyone was like, oh yeah, this Jasmine Boreal's awesome. So flash forward to Dominaria United, and we're doing these new box toppers of all these old legends reinterpreted, and they were going to be, one in every box, a pretty unique thing for booster boxes. We haven't really done something like this before. So we have Stang Echo Warrior. It's a 2 red-green for a legendary creature human warrior, and it's a 3/4. It was important that Stang Twin made a copy of himself, made a new Stang, because that was reminiscent of the old Stang. But we had to find a new thing for it to do that was just kind of unique and gave it a deck building hook. So one of the things that sounded cool was auras and equipment, because 1, it's pretty fun to build around, and 2, in red-green you don't often get the auras and equipment build around, so it gave something unique for a new color combination to do in Commander. Here is Savitri Dragon Master, 2 UB for a Planeswalker, Savitri. Savitri is a super unique card because it's telling you to build a dragon tribal deck in a color combination that's not very typical for a dragon tribal deck, blue-black, There are not even really that many blue-black dragon cards in Magic, So if you are building this deck, you are, really doing something special here. The card is pretty cool. It does have the qualities of a commander. It's a super special character. So in the end, we thought, hey, it will be cool, and also Magic's going to be around for a very long time. We will print more blue and black dragons.
One of the most exciting things for me about Dominaria United, there's so much cool stuff, but I love these legends that are on the top of every box. It's so cool because it brings back all these old characters from Legends that we get to see again in new forms. And if you were played back in the day or you're a student of Magic lore, you look at this card and it is a piece of Magic history, a through line from Legends all the way to today.
Now, getting back to the cards you'll be seeing in the main set. Well, let's just say heroes aren't the only ones making history on Dominaria. The plane has its share of old enemies, and once again, there's something sinister bubbling up behind the scenes. Once, Dominaria was able to thwart an invasion by the mechanical horrors known as the Phyrexians. But now, Phyrexia has returned, with their sights set on making the plane and everything in it complete. Let's find out more about what they have in mind for Dominaria and the rest of the multiverse.
Back on Dominaria, a very long time ago, the Phyrexians were able to utilize essentially a portal to come through, and they really wreaked havoc. And as we open our story, Karn is on Dominaria because he truly believes that the Phyrexians have come back, but he doesn't have any proof. So we start off with Karn looking for that proof, and boy oh boy, does he find it pretty immediately. So Karn quickly finds freaking Sheoldred, which is terrifying Sheoldred not only controls those around her that have also been completed, but can come apart into tiny little pieces and just crawl all over you like spiders. There's nothing more horrifying.
The Sheoldred card is a pretty special moment in the set because it's in a lot of ways the nexus of a lot of bad feeling and a lot of evil. What Joe did with his composition, he really nailed it with both this like kind of poisonous color palette, which really is unsettling, and with these kind of like shadowy figures that he has in the front, just really giving her this moment to revel in her evilness.
So after Karn meets up with Sheoldred and attempts to defeat her, she's able to escape. Thankfully, Ajani comes to the rescue, and they are able to travel to where there are peace talks happening in Dominaria and warn the leaders that, hey, there's some Phyrexians here and we need to watch out. But of course, with Phyrexians come Phyrexian sleeper agents, and you don't know who you can trust. Which takes us to Banalish Sleeper. So Dominaria is a beautiful plane. It's really accented by all this stained glass. It has these airy blues, these pastoral greens, but all of a sudden, you don't know who you can trust. These sleeper agents could be anywhere, but there are also very obvious in-your-face examples of this. And with that takes us to Defiler of Dreams. So now our planeswalkers are faced with not only sleeper agents, but outright Phyrexians and Sheoldred herself. So we're gonna get to see our planeswalkers go up against the Phyrexians and really try to wipe them out before they have the chance to potentially make it off of Dominaria. I mean, the whole multiverse is at stake here.
Dominaria's long legacy means it's also where players have first been introduced to some of the game's most tried and true mechanics.
The domain mechanic represents the power of unifying all 5 colors of magic together against the Phyrexians. Dominaria's diversity and the broad base of its coalition was the key to victory against the Phyrexians in the first invasion.
It really helps make this a return to an invasion, to bring back an invasion mechanic. And now it's back in its rightful home in Dominaria with the ability word domain, throwing back to what we played in Invasion.
Ability words are an example of a design technology innovation that hadn't been invented yet when the original Invasion block was made.
So kicker, it might be the best mechanic ever. It's so simple, everybody can understand that I get something, I pay this much, or I can pay more and I get this much better. Now the effect that has on a game of Magic is huge because kicker gives you the ability to play both early and late, mid-game and late. And that to me increases the quality of the games that you play, which goes beyond just how good the card is individually. The other thing you'll hear shorthand a lot is, hey, there's a new mechanic. That's a variant of kicker, right? It looks like kicker because kicker is the fundamental core of pay a little or pay a lot and have the effect scale. And any set with kicker, I'm in. Archangel of Wrath, 2 white for a 3/4 creature angel at rare with flying and lifelink, but it also has kicker for black and or red. So you could pay 6 mana, do 2 damage spread out as you choose, and have a 3/4 flying lifelink left over?
I mean,
is this card for real?
This card seems totally insane. So, I mean, just the baseline, right, of a 4 mana 3/4 flying lifelinker. I'm already in, but of course, now you also have that flexibility of you can play this in your white-black deck or your white-red deck. I mean, you can just play this in your white deck, right? Now, keep in mind, this also has lifelink, and this is the creature doing the damage. So what that means is when you deal 2 damage to something, you're also gaining the 2 life.
That's insane, yeah.
It's a giant life-linking flyer that can potentially kill 2 things and gain you 4 life.
Wow.
Read Ahead is a new ability found on Saga cards. Rather than always entering with a single lore counter starting on Chapter 1, Sagas with Read Ahead can start on any chapter you like. You can have the Phasing of Zhalfir enter with 1, 2, or 3 lore counters on it. The corresponding chapter ability will trigger, and earlier ones won't. And after the story is done and the last chapter ability is finished, you sacrifice the saga just like before.
All right. So we're getting sagas back in this set. Now, there's going to be a little bit of a twist for this one, but what has your experience been with sagas so far?
Yeah, sagas are near the top of the list of my favorite card type.
Yeah.
As a primarily limited player, they play out beautifully. They play out kind of like how a Planeswalker would, but they have an endpoint on them, so you can kind of plan around it. But also, they tell a story. right? And to me, they're one of the most expressive type of Magic cards where they hit that core thing where you get it. You know, you see it and you go, that's neat. I understand what story's being told, even if it's just a little mini story throughout the chapters of a saga. Okay, now I get why skipping ahead might sometimes be a good thing to do.
Right, because this just gives you that flexibility, right?
Yeah, that's huge.
And that's got to be huge. And with this, I mean, there's so many different applications here.
This is a weird card because I could see playing this and winning the game by the time the second chapter goes. Like, oh, I'll take chapter 1, phase your thing out, hit you, phase your other thing out, kill you.
Right.
Even though chapter 3 is going to blow up the world.
Right. I mean, you can use this as a way to sweep the board, but again, if you feel like you have enough of a board presence, you can use this to save your best creatures, right? You can play this, phase out your 2 best creatures, then you sweep the board, your 2 best creatures come back, and they just have a bunch of tutus.
Feels like the type of card that situationally is going to be amazing.
Enlist. Enlist is an attack-oriented triggered ability. Whenever a creature with Enlist attacks, you may tap another creature you control to add its power to the attacking creature until end of turn. But there are some rules. The creature you enlist can't also be attacking, and it can't have summoning sickness, meaning it can't have just come under your control this turn. Enlist will help even the smallest creatures contribute on offense. This fight needs everyone, so stand united.
Guardian of New Benalia. So this is 1 and a white for a 2/2 rare human soldier with Enlist. This looks like a pain. I do not want to play against this card in any format.
Right, and you know, this is another take on kind of the very hard to deal with sticky white creature that's going to see a lot of play in these constructed formats, right? So, you know, you can just ensure that you get those perfect curve starts. You can go 1-drop, Guardian, attack, Enlist. Oh, you want to block? Indestructible, and I get to set up my future draws. This card seems incredible.
This is really impressive, and I'm scared of it. And, you know, there has been a push for white to be able to not draw extra cards necessarily, but augment its draw step. Right. This keeps you, Scry 2 is very powerful, keeps you just drawing what you need to keep that pressure on, and you can't get rid of the thing.
Really excited to see how this pans out because this is going to be a staple, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what the idea was behind showing Paul and I this card because this is the type of thing we have nightmares about, but sure, it plays.
It's going to be something I'm going to be losing to a lot. So we've seen a lot of these new mechanics. Marshall, what do you think about the mechanics that you've seen today and how it compares to Dominaria?
Well, first thing that stands out, of course, are the core mechanics that we've seen. We talked about Kicker, talked about that, love it, super excited for it. Sagas we don't always get.
Right.
And anytime we do, I automatically up my bar for my expectations, so I've done that. And when I see different color mana symbols come up on these type of really powerful cards like we saw with that Angel, I'm in. Right now I'm thinking I can make the mana work too, and that's kind of the last ingredient for me. So expectations are about as high as I can get. Yeah, so who here brought the packs so we can...
Yeah, can we crack some packs maybe?
Maybe booster draft? No?
As you can see, there's a lot to look forward to with Magic returning to where it all began. You can pre-order Dominaria United online or at your local game store. And of course, you'll be able to find it at pre-releases starting September 2nd and available everywhere starting September 9th. That just about wraps things up for us, but before you go, apparently there's a few last things players need to know about this latest Phyrexian threat.
It is time for Dominaria to finally become whole. I will stitch perfection into the flesh of